Chapter 24. Where is Grogba? I raced toward the kitchen. Why hadn't I thought of it before? If the prince made it to the garden, he'd escape back through the boulder he'd arrived in and get away with everything. The kitchen was just as chaotic as the rest of the hotel. Take that! And Biff! The Molar sisters were clutching their wands and had conjured up a tornado of plates and cups in the middle of the room. Cutlery and all kinds of jars, pans and utensils whizzed past, bouncing off the cupboards and shelves, pelting the royal sorcerers. The ancient goblin wizards chanted spells and threw their smoke pellets, but they didn't stand a chance against the tooth fairy triplets. You call that magic? Dentina laughed over the tornado. Ha! Gingiva laughed. Nonsense. Your beard looked marvellous in the wind, though, Flora added, grinning. I ran into the kitchen and barged straight past the royal sorcerers, knocking them stumbling across the room. Stop! A wheezy voice croaked. I turned just in time to see a grizzled goblin wizard in his biscuit tin-sized wheelchair careering towards me. I'll get you, you snotling. Oh, thop your madness, the Molar sisters laughed. They flicked their wands and I flew into the air just as the old grunions sped underneath me and clattered down the steps to Oof's basement. Where to, Sweetie? They cackled, dancing about in their magical storm. The garden, I hollowed. Fast as you can. The Molar sisters swatted their wands in my direction and the tornado of crockery suddenly wrapped itself round me. Fast as a rocket, I flew straight through the door to the conservatory and hurtled above the rows of Mr. Crocom's flowers, ferns and huge mushrooms in plant pots. Below me, running this way and that, I saw Tempestuous pirate crew beating back a gaggle of goblin guards. Most of them had lost their weapons by now and were just hurling gardening tools at each other, but I was pleased to see that it looked like the pirates were winning. I reached the far end just in time to see Reginald Blink throw a potted cactus at a small running figure dressed in gold, darting through the door to the garden. It was Grogba. I'd nearly caught up with him. As the tornado of crockery, with me in the middle of it, whizzed out through the end of the conservatory, the Molar sisters' spell instantly vanished, and I skidded onto the mound at the centre of the lawn, with plates and cups smashing all around me. Ugh! The lawn woke up for the second time in 24 hours. Sorry, I huffed. I felt like I'd just been put through a long spin in a tumble dryer. I dizzily stood up and looked about. There was no way I was going to let the prince escape. You're standing on my face, the lawn grumbled. Get off! I wobbled down the mound and headed for the bare patch of mud with the boulder jutting out of it. Please let the door still be closed. Please let the door still be closed. Phew, it was. Prince Grogba may have made it as far as the garden, but he hadn't got through into the golden hallway yet, and if I stayed near the boulder, he wouldn't be able to open the door without dealing with me first. I squinted my eyes and peered into the towering flower bed, searching for a pumpkin-shaped figure. It was at times like this that I loved having troll blood in my veins. Seeing in the dark was a piece of cake, except the brilliant glowing petals and leaves that burst out in all directions only made the shadows between them seem even darker. I couldn't spot the prince, but I knew he'd probably spotted me. I needed to be ready. I spun round and gasped. Up on the patio I saw Hoggett struggling and thrashing about as two of Grogba's royal guards had lashed ropes round the little dragon's snout and were pulling him towards the swimming pool. No! I'm sure you've probably guessed by now, but soot dragons die if they get wet. I didn't have a choice. Abandoning my post at the boulder door, I sprinted across the garden and leaped up the patio steps. I don't think I'd ever been so angry in my life. I could feel Granny Regurgita's troll rage bubbling up inside my belly. Get away from him, I bellowed. That's my dragon. I grabbed the two soldiers by their red top knots and yanked them off the ground. They dropped the ropes and started kicking their stumpy legs. Let go, they squeaked. Let go. Up here, darling, Mrs. Dunce shouted. She was clambering up the steps of the water slide. Throw 'em! One after another, I swung the goblins into the air. They arced up over the pool and Beryl Dunch batted them with her fishtail with a loud, wet slap. I couldn't help feeling a bit sorry for the goblin guards when they both landed headfirst in the manure pile by the potting shed, but that's what you get for messing with Frankie Bannister, ha ha. And that was the moment everything went really crazy.